Good morning. This is the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Sunday, July 14th. On the impact map, another day of widespread lightning pushing further north and east. Many of these strikes, as you can see by the red circles, will be mostly dry lightning with very high cloud bases. There'll be some pockets of wetter lightning mixed in right underneath small cores. We could see a localized quarter-inch or half-inch downpour, but those will be few and far between. Otherwise, most rain amounts measured mostly in the couple of hundredths of an inch to a trace amount. The activity does start tapering off as we go towards Tuesday, and actually even Monday, a little bit less, but still a fair amount of strikes. By Tuesday, drier air starts to push back in. Temperatures remain hot. Where it's not raining and the sun comes out, humidity will stay dry. On the right-hand side, quite a bit of extensive lightning in the last 24 hours. You can see here across the southern part of the geographic area, furthest north getting just into the Oahes. Precipitation, for the most part, fairly light. This light blue is just a couple of hundredths of an inch. Some of this darker blue is heavier, but keep in mind these are radar estimated, and what we're seeing on the ground truth, because of the dry air near the surface, is quite a bit less precip amounts than this. Activity shows that new fire starts in the red. Most of these are natural lightning starts through here. Larger circles indicate larger fires. It has been bone dry the past 7 days and the past 14 days even across the area. Big reason why these ERCs are pushing the 97th percentile to records in this purple area. Critically dry in just about all areas. We look at the 100-hour fuels. I mean, there is some modification once you get clouds in and some spotty, very light precipitation. These were 100-hour fuels 2 days ago, just before the event. In the gold, upper single digits in most areas, the low single digits in 100-hour fuels, incredibly dry in this large area in red. And that has since tempered just a little bit, but still in this area of gold, 100-hour fuels of 5 to 9% still could trigger fires. And for that reason, we have the Great Basin Fuels and Fire Behavior Advisory. Different areas here. The hatched area is where we have above average fine fuel loading, along with record low 100 and 1,000 hour fuels. Down south, maybe not the fuel loading, but just record dry fuels in areas where normally the monsoon takes the edge off this time of year, but the deep monsoon nowhere to be found. We see this through here again, the deep moisture pushing up from the south, but it's being blocked back, and what we're having here is just spotty precipitation. I apologize for the border through here, but area in black here, anywhere here we could see isolated lightning. Best concentrate. There is actually a concentration up here in far northern Idaho, and lightning risk just about everywhere. That's the main thing I want to emphasize. The winds, there'll be gradient winds in some areas of 15 to 25 miles an hour, but there'll be strong outflow boundaries of 30, 40, 50 miles an hour in some spots where you see these darker purple shades. Humidity's coming up, no more single digits, but still in the teens in most areas. And here's the precipitation field for today, covering large chunks of the area. Now for Monday, drier air starts to work in a little bit, so there'll be a little bit less lightning activity, so the high risk area is reduced by almost half, but still high risk for lightning in a lot of these areas. Humidity, similar story, teens to near 20%. The winds, though, still breezy in some areas, so keep that in mind with new fire starts, and some outflow boundaries from nearby thunderstorms could cause brief gusts of over 40 miles an hour. You see the thunderstorm coverage through here, and a lot of these little pin drop signatures, those are dry lightning signatures, not that really strong consolidated precipitation pattern. Now, drier air starts to work in earnest later on Tuesday. You see through here, there'll still be some isolated lightning, but not nearly as prevalent. Wind field fairly light across central areas, but you can still see some maybe 10 to 20 mile an hour winds where you see these darker green shades. Humidity very slowly starting to dry out by a few percent, and the precipitation coverage of thunderstorms lessens quite a bit, but these gray shades are only 100th or 200ths of an inch, so not a lot of rain. And looking at the 3-day precipitation totals, not a lot. The deep monsoon just barely getting into southern to central Arizona. Now as we go into Wednesday, Again, we see drier air starting to push in, but in these areas in black, an isolated thunderstorm cannot be ruled out, and some more moisture does return to parts of southern Utah towards Thursday and Friday, so we could see more thunderstorms. Probably a mix of wet and dry. You can see some of the 7-day indications are that the precip could take its toll and maybe take the edge off of fuels in some areas. As we get into next weekend, but the high pressure is in. The deep monsoonal moisture stays over New Mexico, so we stay hot and dry after this big lightning event. The 7-day precipitation total, again, the deep monsoon with these 4, 5, 6-inch rain amounts stays to us south. For us, it's more spotty stuff where it rains but then evaporates after a day or two. Now, the 8 to 14-day outlook continues with the above-normal summertime heat going July 21st to 27th. Precipitation, a fairly large area of above normal, but it's not the higher percentage of above normal. And looking at some of the models, this is 9 to 14 days off one of our models. It shows that for a good portion of the Great Basin, the heaviest amounts in these green areas are only about 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch. Most of it in these gray shades, just a couple of hundredths of an inch. So that's not even a wetting rain. So don't want to give that impression on the 8 to 14 day that's going to stop fire season or whatever. This actually could cause more lightning ignitions going into the period. This concludes our briefing. Have a great day.